The answer is get out. I got out. I got out when the getting was good. That's called the 23 skidoo. Well, you know what? The getting might not be so good anymore. It's going to be harder and harder to get out of this as we go deeper and deeper into it. It's like quicksand. In other words, quit your cult. This has been my motto, my dictum, you know. It's been my mantra over the last year. Quit the cult. The cult is not interested in helping you. It doesn't want to help you. It doesn't want to protect you. It wants to own you. How do you quit the cult? In What on Earth is Happening, when I first did the initial series years ago, it's almost a decade ago now, about 9 years ago, I gave in the solutions section the 3 R's, and they were respect, remembrance, and the third one was, respect, remembering, and responsibility, okay? So those 3 R's are what I want to reiterate upon as the way out of the big cult, how to get out. However, I'm going to give a new 3 R's to complement the original 3 R's of respect, remembering, and responsibility. Repentance is the true form of self-respect. And this is a religious term, as it is most often used. It means saying that you're sorry, making an apology for wrongdoing and wrong thinking. It means saying the most powerful 3 words that can ever be spoken by a human being. The second most powerful three words that can be spoken by a human being is I love you. The most powerful phrase that can be spoken by a human being is I was wrong. That's why so few people say it. They can't get their ego out of the way. You know how many thousands of times I had to admit to myself that I was wrong and I was participating in something that was completely screwed up? Tens of thousands of times. That's the hardest thing there is to do for a human being, because you have to admit you were duped. You got fooled. You got played. And I was wrong. I was duped and I got played. But I was at least man enough to be able to say that to myself. How many people are man or woman enough to be able to utter those words? I know people in my own family who have knowingly said untruths about me or let untruths be spoken about me that they knew were not the truth. And can't say years later to me, I was wrong about that and I shouldn't have gone along with that or just let that be spoken about you unchallenged. Just because they can't get their ego out of the way and those words can't leave their mouth. It's like Arthur Fonzarelli on Happy Days. I was, and he can't get the word out. He can't say I was wrong, you know? That's how deep the human ego is entrenched. That's how deeply it's entrenched. That's what Satanism is. That's what the force called Satan is. It's the force that will not allow us to admit we were wrong or duped. Overcoming the ego-bound consciousness ultimately means truly being able to say I was wrong and to change your behavior by desisting in wrong action and taking up right action. This comes from respect. This is what true self-respect is. This comes from true self-respect. You have to develop self-respect to be able to say you were wrong. That's why they say it takes a big man or it takes a real man or a real woman to admit that they were wrong, because they respect themselves, truly. The word respect derived from the Latin prefix re, meaning again, and the Latin verb spectare, which means to look at. True self-respect means taking another look at yourself. And sometimes you don't like what you see because you recognize you were involved in something that was wrong. And you have to admit that to move forward. That's what taking the step into the repentant personality is all about. This is what real repentance is. The second R of the new 3 R's is refusal. And this is true remembering, because you will refuse to participate in this satanic agenda or ideology when you remember who you truly are, which is a sovereign spiritual being having an experience of growth and learning in the physical domain. Through the knowledge of natural law, an awakened human being who truly remembers who they are is finally able to speak the lost word, which is no. No is the word of all power. Only when we say no to those who would claim to be our owners do we stop externalizing our power, and in doing so reclaim all of our rights as sovereign beings. Engaging in full refusal to participate in the worldwide cult that is enslaving humanity requires tremendous amounts of knowledge, care, and courage. And since so few have those dynamics in that kind of abundance, that's why this word is considered lost. So few people will say no to evil. But that is where the power lies ultimately, in refusal to participate and cooperate with this agenda. Finally, the third R is rebellion. And I don't even mean physical rebellion. I look at real rebellion in life as true responsibility. People think responsibility is how much money you have in your bank account. They think it's what kind of job you have. They think it's either whether you can feed yourself in any given day from day to day. It's not what real responsibility is. I'm not knocking any of those things. Nice things to have and be able to do. But real responsibility is doing the great work. And that's rebellion against the unnatural evil order of chaos and death that has taken this planet. The true great work is the arduous task of influencing others to abandon their religions, the false and dogmatic beliefs which hold back the progress of consciousness by impeding the reception of truth and natural law. It is to help them to realize that in supporting and condoning the legitimacy of authority and government, man's law, based in moral relativism, that they have actually been supporting and condoning the legitimacy of slavery, and that they were immoral for having done so. Now, that is not any tiny little task, which is why it's not called the tiny little task. It's called the great work. In case, if you haven't noticed, people tend to be very, very attached to their religious beliefs and their cult beliefs. They don't want to abandon them out of fear because it's all they've ever known. And what this great work is ultimately about doing is dragging people kicking and screaming into uncharted territory, the undiscovered country of real freedom and real responsibility. And most people don't want to go there because they don't want to grow up. They don't want that knowledge because they don't want the associated responsibility that goes hand in hand with that knowledge and can never be separated from it. You want to know what 2 of the most powerful words that can ever be spoken are? I will. Now you want to get into the real law of creation. There it is right there. What will you do? That's the question. You know, people say, oh, you make the recognition that all this stuff is wrong. Well, what are you going to do about it? A whole lot. And I have done a whole lot. And I will continue to do a whole lot. That's influencing people to understand what's right and what needs to be done. That's the word that needs to be said. Those are the words that need to be said. Don't look at Mark Passio and what he's going to do. Say, I will. Take that responsibility on your own shoulders. What are you going to do? That's true responsibility. And you know what? When you turn your will to that great work, that's true rebellion.